Aaron was Sukkah Daf Hay on the base, 10 lines from the bottom. According to Rabbi Yehuda, Amma is 5 tvachim, so the Mizbeach is 5.5. So 5, an Amma and a half, which is 5 plus 2.5 is 7.5, plus 1 tefach of the Kapiris. So you got 8.5 is the Aaron and the Kapiris. That leaves you 11.5 till the top. So we can't learn from there that Sukkah is 10. So how do you know it? This is a gemorah. It's ilchsa. Ilchsa gemira la davar v'chir barashi amarav. Shur chatzis v'chiz lacham Moshe Sinai. It's called lacham Moshe Sinai. This was handed down. Hashem gave Moshe on our Sinai the din. That's how we know it. It says a gemorah. Shiurin d'raisininu. And shiurin d'raisininu. The says shiurin, the size of all the different things in the Torah. These are the raisa. The Chsiv says Eretz Chito Seira Gefen Teine Varima and Eretz Zei Shemen Dvash. A land flowing with Chita, Seira, wheat, barley, Gefen, vines, Teina, figs, Rimain, date, pomegranates. Eretz Zei Shemen, the land with olive oil, Zei Shemen, Udvash and honey. So Va'amar of Chanin says Rav Chaim, what's this pasuk teaching me? This entire pasuk, right? These are the shivas minim that you have to take al on. They also are the 7 categories of halacha that teach me 7 different dinim. Why? He's going to explain. Each word is teaching me a different din. So what do we learn from chita? Chita labaisa menuga. So a house develops tsaras. There's blemishes on the wall, tsaras, supernatural, doesn't happen nowadays. So anyone in the house becomes Tomei. Now the Torah says, if you walk into the house, you're Tomei, but you begodim, you kelim are not Tomei unless you eat there. That's what the Torah says. If you eat in the house, then your clothes become Tomei. Just walking in the house, you become Tomei. In other words, the clothes are total to you. So, if you're just in there for a split second, you walk in, you come out, your clothes are not tummy. But if you sat down, you had breakfast there, your clothes now also become tummy. They were there long enough. It says a gemorah. Where do we learn? What do we learn that from? From chita. That's the shir of chita. Chita lebaisa menuga. This nan says in the Mishnah, nichnas lebaisa menuga. If you walk into the house, if your clothes are on your shoulders and you're holding your shoes, you're holding your rings, you're not wearing your clothes, right? You know you're walking into the house, it might be Tomei, you want to go in there, quickly get out something, your diamond ring, something valuable. So what do? You take off your clothes, you hold it, so that your clothes don't become Tomei. The guy's smart. He walks in, he's holding his clothes, he's Tomei, his clothes are not Tomei. He can go jump in a mikveh, he's fine. But it's not so easy to tie your clothes maybe, or your stuff's going to get ruined. So if you're holding it, it doesn't become Tomei. Who v'hengt mei miyad. Sorry, sorry, my mistake. If you're holding everything, then it is Tomei immediately. Who v'hengt mei miyad. Because it's coming in by itself, it's not connected to you. It's not like it's being used. But, says the Gemara, turn the page, if you're wearing your clothes, and you're wearing your shoe, and you've got rings on your finger, who Tomei miyad v'hem p'torin ad she'yisha k'dei achilas pras. So if you're wearing it, you're Tomei, but your clothes aren't impure. Why? Because Rashi says because it's bottled to you. So you're impure, but your clothes doesn't have its own status. It's like it didn't really come in. Your clothes are Tomei, your clothes are tahor if you're wearing it. Unless you stay in the room, the amount of time it eats to eat a pras. We'll see in a second what that is. And what's this pras? So pras is a loaf of bread, right? Half a loaf of bread. Paras means the word prusa, a slice. You take a loaf of bread, you cut it in half. The loaf of bread is enough for your meal for the whole day. And a pras means it's half the meal. So in other words, they used to have 2 meals in those days. That's before Shalom Chazal. They used to eat 2 meals a day. Like a late breakfast, by 10 o'clock, it looks like, and they had an early supper, right? So you had this loaf of bread, which is enough for a whole day meal. You cut it in half, and if you stayed in this room enough time to eat breakfast, your first meal, which is 4 eggs, the whole loaf is the volume of 8 eggs. 8 eggs is approximately 80 grams an egg. The eggs were bigger in those days, we know, but it's, let's say, minimum of 80 grams. So 8 eggs is 640 grams. So breakfast is about 320 grams. That's the size of your breakfast, 320 grams. If you stayed in the room enough time to have breakfast, then your clothes become tomei. Pras. Achilas pras means half a loaf of bread, 4 eggs. Approximately, they say nowadays, is 4 minutes, give or take. And what type of bread? It's going to be chitin. That's what we learned from the verse. It's going to be chitin, wheat, velai pasayr, not barley bread, because it takes longer to eat barley bread than to eat wheat bread. Wheat bread goes down much faster. And not only that, we're talking about a case where va'echel belifton. You're eating it, velay pasayr, mesav, where he's leaning, meaning when you lean, you eat faster. If you're sitting up, you used to eat laying down. That was when you're focused on just eating. You're not doing anything else. You're not talking to anyone. You're lying down. You eat. You're good. You're eating fast. But if you're sitting up and you're schmoozing, it takes longer. So we're talking about a case where the guy's focused. He's lying down. He's eating his bread quickly. That's the amount of time it takes. V'eichel belifton, we're talking about where you're eating it with lifton, with a dip. Obviously, you eat the bread. If you're just eating bread by itself, it takes long to chew it. Your mouth is dry. It doesn't go down so smoothly. When you dip it with a bit of hummus, so you can eat the bread much faster. We're talking about case of v'eichel belifton. So it's talking about paschita, wheat, leaning, where you're not being distracted. You're focused on the task ahead, finishing your breakfast, and you're dipping your bread in the dip to make it go down smoother. You're putting in salt, trina, whatever it is. It goes down nice and smoothly. Good morning, David.
Good morning, good morning.
So says the gemorah this now. Okay, that's the first share. First share is chita. What does chita tell me? Walking into a house, and your clothes, if you're wearing your clothes, they don't become tomei unless you're in the house for 4 minutes. Enough time to eat breakfast quickly, then your clothes become tomei. Otherwise, your clothes are tahor. They're pure. Sa'ira, what does Sa'ira teach me? It says in the Mishnah Disnan, Etzem Kasa'ira, a bone, talking about Rachmanis, you got a bone here of someone dead. Kasa'ira, the size of barley. Metame b'maga or b'masa ve'ini metame b'oil. If you touch this barley, if you touch this dead bone, that's the size of barley, you become tomei. You become impure. Ubamasa, and even if you're not touching it directly, you're not touching it. You put it on a tray, but you're holding the tray, you're carrying it, indirectly you're touching it, so you're also tomei, even if you don't touch it. That's b'maga ubamasa. Masa is even if you don't touch, you're still tomei. Don't think you can, use rubber gloves and then you're okay. Doesn't work like that. If you're carrying it, you're tomei. Ve'enai metame ba'al. However, this barley thing will not be metame you if you're in oil. In other words, if you're in a room if someone's a kain, he knows you can't be in the room with someone that's dead. Person becomes tomei, being in the same room. So how much is this barley-sized thing metame someone the oil if he's in the same room as him? The answer is no. A barley of bone is not going to be metame you. So what is metame in oil? There's got to be either a skull, a full skull. There's got to be a full Amud shidra, you have spinal cord, or roivatz mice of a person. Most bones. Thank you very much. So, but what is sa'ira for? A tiny piece of barley. That's enough to be matami if you touch it or if you carry it. But in the oil, you have to have a full skeleton or half a skeleton. That's what it looks like. Okay, that's Eretz Chita and Sa'ira. Next one is Geffen. Geffen. What does Geffen teach me? This is a little bit more complicated. Geffen Kedei Revius. Geffen tells me the din of a Revius. So, what does that mean? Kedei Revius Yayin. Lenozir. So what does this mean? Kedei Revius Yayin Lenozir. Revius is a volume. It's not a weight. Revius means a quarter of a lug. A lug is 6 eggs. Revius means a quarter of a lug. A quarter of 6 eggs, which is 1.5 eggs. So a nazir, someone that says he's not going to drink wine, he's not allowed to drink wine, he's not allowed to eat grapes, he's not allowed to eat the leaves of a vineyard, he's not allowed to eat the bark of a vineyard, he's not allowed to eat anything to do with grapes. It's not just you can't drink wine because you might get intoxicated. You can't even eat grapes, you can't eat the leaves. He's also to everything to do with grapes. How much is he not allowed to eat that he's considered he violated the sin of eating? Good morning. How much does this nazir, how much is he also to eat? What's the share? If he touches a drop, is he chayiv? Is he chayiv? No. He's got to have a revius yain.
My country grapes, isn't it wine? Also grapes.
He says he's not going to eat wine, but he's not allowed to. Also, a nazir is not allowed to drink wine. He's not allowed to eat grapes. You can't have grape juice. You can't have the leaves of a vineyard. You can't have the leaves of the bark. That's the din of a nazir. He's not allowed to touch anything. What does it say? Anything that comes out of this tree, he's forbidden, right? So Shimshon, he didn't have even a grape. How much can he not eat? We're on Vav Amud Aleph, 6 lines from the top. How much can this guy not eat? He's not allowed to eat a revius yain. So revius it's a volume. It would be a way to be much easier, right? You can't eat a revius yain. A revius is 1.5 eggs. But so what's it got to do with the shir? Why do you need geffen? What does the word geffen teach me? So how do you calculate the volume? It's easy to calculate the volume of wine, right? You put wine in a cup. Okay, this is how much 1.5 eggs takes up. Takes up 100 mils roughly. An egg is, let's say, 65 grams. It takes up slightly more in volume, but you're talking about roughly 100 grams, right? That's a revius. So a revius is a quarter of a lug, and a lug is 6 eggs. So a revius is 1.5 eggs, but it's a volume. So this is essential for that understanding what Gemorah is saying over here. So what do we need the sheer geffen for? Geffen. What does geffen tell me? So how do you measure the leaves? How do you measure the volume of leaves? It's very hard. How do you measure volume of leaves? How do you measure volume of twigs that you can't eat? So you use displacement, exactly. You fill up a cup. Let's say you fill up a cup with water till the top. You put in the leaves. You put in the thing, and then you measure how much spills out onto the tray underneath. And when that gets to a lug and a quarter of a lug, you're done. Says the Gemara, for this displacement test, you don't use water. You use geffen. You use grape juice, or wine rather. Why? Because wine's thicker and more sits on the lip. It sits, its viscosity is higher or lower, I don't know which one it is.
Higher.
It's higher, so it sits on the lip of the thing. So you need much more in the cup to displace your lug and a half to get to that volume of also the noses are over. That's the din. So it's not real. It's not a real. It's a massive cooler. Now all these shurim are really coolers. You could say everything's chayv with a kazayas, right? All these shurim are derisas that coolers are being makel on a person. So here also it's being makel on the nose. He's not chayv with a displaced lug of water. You got to displace a lug of, or a visa lug of wine, which is probably adding another 10% to it, right? Whatever it is. Says Gemara. What does the word te'ina tell me in this pasuk? Te'ina figs kagogeres, loitzas Shabbos. The te'ina kagogeres, like a dried fig, loitzas Shabbos. You're not chayiv if you carry on Shabbos unless you take out a fig. In other words, you might think that if I carry on Shabbos a grape, you're chayiv chel Shabbos. No, it's not enough to take out. You know, all achilas with kazayas, right? What's achila? Achila, the Torah says eat matzah, it means have a kazayas. The Torah says eat morah, have a kazayas. So why on Shabbos you have to take a fig, kugageres? Because the Torah, no one's makpid, even though kazayas is a share of achila, that's called you ate. Kazayas means you ate. Less than a kazayas, you didn't even eat. You tasted. That's not called you ate, right? If you had a lick of something. You tasted maybe, you didn't eat. Eating is a kazayas. But no one's makpid on a kazayas. But someone's going to be matmit to hide a fig. It's already a nice, that's breakfast for some people. You're having coffee with a fig, you hide it. That's already a shear that's hide. If you carry that on Shabbos, that's a shear of carrying on Shabbos. Like Shabbos, you need to carry out a fig. Rimoin. What does it in Rimoin tell me? The Snan, Kol Klei Balabais, Kol Klei Balabatim, Shur and Kurimoinim. So let's say you have a Kli, right? And everyone knows the rule. Your Kli's Tomei, what you do? You got an earthenware Kli, you got to break it. There's nothing to do. You can't be matire it. The only thing you do is break it. So what you do? You make a hole in it. Now I can't put my apple juice in it anymore. I can't put my olive oil in it. There's a hole. There's 10 holes. It's worthless. No. You might not be able to use it for your apple juice or for your wine, but you could put grapes in it. So I'll make the hole the size of grapes couple, but I can put my apples in it. So what size hole can you put in there? Then now it's no longer tomei. The holes have to be the size of a ribbon of a pomegranate. Once you got holes in the size of pomegranates, this is no longer a kli.
Is it the size of the seeds of the pomegranate?
No,
or the pomegranate.
The whole pomegranate.
Oh, okay.
Now you can still put your drill in this thing,
Yeah.
but that's not a kli. That's not what it's made for.
Pomegranate is very important in Jewish life.
Yeah, now we know why, because it's the share of the whole of a pomegranate is what's it called. Maybe that's why, because it's a choshev of fruit. We're worried that people are going to be storing their pomegranates in their basket, in a wooden basket made out of it's tomei. So now we say no. Once there's holes in it, the size of a pomegranate, there's not many fruit. You can still put a pomelo in it. I don't know if they had them in those days or a watermelon, but most fruit are smaller than a pomegranate and they're going to fall through, so it's good. So erez zeh shemen dvash. What does it mean? Erez zeh shemen dvash. Eret shechol shirei zeisim. All the shirim of the Torah are the size of olives. Gemorah asks, really? Kosher has sakataydech. All the sizes are dependent on the size of an olive. Ha'ika, I mean, we just mentioned a whole bunch of things where it's bigger than a pomegranate. It's bigger than his eyes. It's a pomegranate. It's a fig. It's whatever it is. There's different shirim. So, Kosher is like, most of the shiurim in the Torah are kazayas. If you have the size of an olive, the Torah says eat matzah. It means have an olive size of matzah. You got to eat a kazayas of matzah. And what does dvash mean? Dvash cheseves agasa. Dvash doesn't mean be honey. Dvash actually means honey from a date, right? Date honey. If you have the dvash, the size of a date on Yom Kippur, you're chayiv. If you eat on Yom Kippur a kazayas, you're not chayiv. You can't eat on Yom Kippur. Maybe you think if you can't eat a zayis, no. You've got to have the chesefes agasa, the size of a dried date, in order to be chayiv. That's what dvash is telling me is shur Torah of eating on Yom Kippur. So gemorah now goes. So we've had all of these things in the pasuk. The Torah says. All these things in the pasuk are telling me shirim in Torah. It's not just things that you make ala michya on, but there's also a separate din for each one. Each word is telling me a separate halacha. The Gemara says now. So alma the Raisa didn't. So you see from this that all these shiurim are the Raisa, they're biblical. And so in other words, his kasha was you said we know all halacha Moshe Sinai. He said, we learn these dinim, halacha Moshe Sinai. Now you told me you brought a pasuk. So Gemara says, no. But this b'shirim it doesn't say the shir in the Torah. It's a remez. And the knew it's halacha Moshe Sinai. The kra, asmachta be'almahu. The Torah's verse is just an asmachta be'almahu, meaning it's something to substantiate, to help, to assist the halacha Moshe Sinai that was taught, halacha Moshe Sinai was handed down from Moshe to Moshe from Sinai, but really was not, it's not written b'feish Torah. It's not called Daraisa. It doesn't say in the Torah Chita for Tumah and Chesevas Agasa for Yom Kippur. Those are all halacha Moshe Sinai's. So if someone asks you what's the share of eating in Yom Kippur, it's Chesevas Agasa. It's halacha Moshe Sinai, and this pasuk is just a asmachta ba'almahu. Says the Gemara. Chatzitzin Daraisa inhu. The din of chatzitza. Now he said there's two things as daraisa is halacha Moshe Sinai's chatzitzin, and we saw Chatzitzin is when you go when someone dips in a mikvah, anything on the skin is a chatzitza. It's a block. It's what's the word? It's like a mechitza.
So there's some type of partition between.
It's a partition, exactly. The water doesn't get to the skin. So the Gemara says it. Is chatzitza lachem Moshe Sinai? What are you talking about? A chatzitza is daraisa. Chatzitza in daraisa in the chsef. How do I know chatzitza is daraisa? It says in the pasuk v'rachas es b'sarai b'mayim. It says he should wash his skin. V'rachas es b'sarai b'mayim. He should dip his skin in water. What does that mean? Your skin has to be directly in touch with the water. You can't have something in between. There can't be a chatzitza. There can't be something covering.
But it doesn't only apply to skin, by the way. Like if you towel your dishes.
We're going to see, dishes, everything. So that's what Torah says. So why are you telling me it's halacha Moshe Sinai? It's a pasuk. V'rachas b'sar b'mayim. Your skin has to be washed in water. So shlei davachayt is bein lebein amayim. So ki asay hilchasa. So what do we need halacha Moshe Sinai here? The sarai for your hair. You might think when Pesach goes to the mikvah, it's enough of his hair. He goes into the mikvah as long as his skin touches the water, he's fine. But if his skin is wrapped up in a shower curtain, whatever it is, I don't know what they put on the hair. You put on it some type of a swimming cap, then you're fine. Your hair doesn't have to tavel. And there's a logic to say that. Like your body is who you are. Your hair, you could chop it off. You're still the same person. It's not like essentially part of who you are, right? Okay, so your beard, you put some cream on it. Who cares if your hair doesn't get taveled? I don't care. The body's tavel. Ruchsas b'sari. It says you got to dip your skin in the water, not your hair. Hair's not your skin. So that you got to wash your hair also. That's halacha Moshe Sinai. That it doesn't say in the Torah. That we need to have a b'sara that you got to also wash your hair in the water. And this fits in with the din of Rabbi Bar Chana. Why? If you have one hair on your head and you tie it in a knot, it's a chatzitza. That's considered a chatzitza because the water can't get into that hole where the hair is tied. The water doesn't get in there. If there's three hairs tied together, that's not a chatzitza. Because once you have three hairs, it's not such a tight knot. It's looser, so water can get in there. I don't know what the din of the two. I guess something the rice of the chumrah. But you see from here that Rabbi Bar Chana held the hair has to be tabled. You got to table the hair. You got to dip the hair in the water. And if it's tied, there's a knot in your hair. It's a chatzitza. The person's not tar. So gemorah answers no. So Saira Nami Deraisa Ninu. That's not true. Hair is also Deraisa. It's not halacha Moshe Sinai. Don't come and tell me the din of washing your hair in a mikveh, dipping your hair is halacha Moshe Sinai. No, it's Deraisa. The chsiv, it says in the pasuk.
Isn't that der?
Huh? It's Deraisa. Dipping your hair in the
What's the
mikveh.
difference between deraisa and
Halacha
Moshe
Moshe.
Sinai?
I mean, good question. Very good question. I don't know if we'll have time to explain it, but one is it says the first in the Torah. One is halacha Moshe Sinai. It's different. Can you learn from it? Can you make zero shavas to it? Is it deraisa? It's a big shaila. But you got to do it either way, 100%.
Okay.
Is deraisa? It's basically deraisa also. Yeah. The question is, it's called. The Gemara wants to know: is it called deraisa? Is halacha Moshe Sinai? I don't know. It's good kasha. So, Sarah Nami deraisa ninu. Hair is deraisa. I mean, the implication of the Gemara is that if it's halacha Moshe Sinai, the nafkamina is really whether you say suffix deraisa lekula or suffix deraisa lechumra. If it's deraisa, then you got to be machmer. If it's darbana, you makel. Things that deraisa, you got to be moicha on. Anything that says mefurish in the Torah, you got to be moicha on a guy. If it doesn't say mefurish in the Torah, you don't have to be moicha on a guy if he does it. There's a whole bunch of differences if something's mefurish in the Torah.
So if it's savach the halacha l'Moshe Sinai, is it l'chumra or l'kula?
L'chayr is l'kula if it's halacha Moshe Sinai.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So, but this is the Raisa. Why? The chsiv v'rochas b'sarei b'mayim. Es atofel b'sarei. What does it mean? V'rochas b'sarei b'mayim. What does es mean? Es comes to teach you. It doesn't say v'rochas b'sarei b'mayim. V'rochas es. Es is adding something here. Es atofel b'sarei. Something that's secondary to your skin, which is what's secondary to your skin? Sarah, your hair. So you have to wash your hair also. That's the right. So that's not a din halacha Moshe Sinai. So when do you have this halacha Moshe Sinai with chatzitza? Kiasai ilchsa, Rabbi Yitzchak, Tam Rabbi Yitzchak. What do we need it for? Turn the page. Vav Amud base. Flying through Shas over here. Dvat Torah ruba yemak b'dalav chaitzes. Middle raisa, for something to be considered a chatzitza, and the tefillah doesn't work, it's got to be rubai umak b'dalav. Meaning, it's got to cover most of your body, and it's got to be something that you makbid. It bothers you. A person's covered in paint. He doesn't walk around with paint always. He's makbid on it. That's a chatzitza. But if a person just put moisturizer cream on his legs, right? It doesn't bother him. That's not called a chatzitza because it's not most of his body, and he's not makbid.
What if he's a painter and is used to walking around with paint?
So if you're not makbid on paint, if you're a painter, you're not makbid. So it's not a chatzitza. It's very big nafkamina halacha l'maisa. So you need two things. It's got to be roiv to beat the rice apostle. It's got to be rubai makbid. V'she'ening makbid alav and chaitzes. If you don't care about it, it's not a chatzitza. If you're a painter, that's how you go. It's not a chatzitza. So what's the darbon here? V'gazru al rubai she'ening makbid mishum rubai makbid. So midarbonon rubai she'ening makbid mishum rubai makbid. Let's say you don't care about having paint all over your body. But midarbonon, they were guys a rubai she'ening makbid. Even if you don't care about it, because maybe you're going to go with paint when you are makbid. So that's midarbonon. And there's another gzeira. Va'al miyutai hamakbid mishum rubai hamakbid. And even if there's a little bit of paint on you, if you're makbid, they would geyser on a little bit of paint if you care about it, because you might have a lot of paint that you makbid.
So you said you could explain that one again one time.
So in other words, we take chumrah on each side. You need two things. You need to have rubai, it's got to cover most of your body, and you've got to care about it. What if it's only a small part of your body, and you care about it? So we were geyser, Chazal was geyser. Because you might, if you care about this, maybe you're going to have something covering your whole body. It turns out though, so what is mutar d'Rabbanan? What type of chatzitza is mutar d'Rabbanan? If it's less than miyut and you don't care, that's mutar. Only if it's miyut and you're makbid, or rubai and you're not makbid. Because they're only one step away. You got to be one step away from the raisa in order to be geyser. But if if you got a ring on your finger, you're not makbid. You never take off the ring. It's good. It's midrabon. It's fine. I think nowadays people take off everything when they go to the mikvah, whether they're makbid, they're not makbid, but it's not even the rabbanon. The rabbanon, if miyat ain't a makbid, it's fine. There's no problem with it. Says the gemorah. We should also make a gzeira al miyut she'einu makbid. Even if you got a little drop of paint that you don't care about it, we should be geyser. Mishemiyat makbid. We should be geyser. When it says Mishemiyat makbid, inam misheruba she'einu makbid. So he go for gzeira. Gzeira. This is the principle that we're not going to go ahead and make a gzeira l'gzeira. That I should ask a little bit of paint that you're not makbid, because maybe you'll have a little bit of paint where you are makbid. But having a little bit of paint where you are makbid, that's a gzeira. You might have your whole body full of paint and you're makbid. And therefore, we're not gazing gzeira l'gzeira. If you're not makbid, then it's miyut gufay, nothing wrong with it. So let's finish the two dots once we're here. Mechitzin hada amran. The height of a mechitza, we spoke about it. Shanichel Rav Yehuda, that's overall called the Rida. El Reb Michael Meima. What is this going to teach me? Which halacha Moshe Sinai? So we said according to Rabbi Yehuda, the din of mechitza is how high the 10 tefachim. That's halacha Moshe Sinai according to Rabbi Yehuda. Because we don't know the height of the sukkah from the Mishkan. You need to have halacha Moshe Sinai. What about Rav Meir that says the tefach amma is 6 tefachim, and now we know the height of tents from the Mishkan. So what's the halacha Moshe Messina according to Reb Meir? Le good v'lava v'doifen akuma, le good aches, le gad asek, doifen akuma, and all the other dinim of lava, those dinim of the sukkah. That's what the halacha Moshe Messina. That's according to Reb Meir, but according to Reb Yehuda, halacha Moshe Messina is the height of the sukkah. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Shkayach.
It's funny we use the word dolphin as well.